We've all heard the lazy argument, they only won because they spent the most. But if you actually look at the last 10 years of data, that theory starts to fall apart. I've crunched the numbers for every club in the 25-26 season in the Premier League, mapping a decade of transfer and expenditure against their final league positions. By using a correlation coefficient, I've found which teams actually buy their way up the league and which are just burning through money. But standard maths punishes winners, so if you stay at number 1, the math says you stopped improving. To fix that, I've introduced a dominance scale where defending a title earns you a rank of 0 or even a -1, -2, depending on how many times you win the title. Today we're counting down from the most wasteful spenders in the English Premier League to the absolute masters of the market. So let's see where your club ranked. Before we start the countdown, here's the key. We're looking for a negative correlation. A score near -1.0 means every pound spent directly improved the team's performance in the league. A positive score is the chaos zone. This means the more they spent, the worse they got. Alongside this, I ran a 1-year lag correlation. This tracks if spending this year pays off next season. It's the difference between a panic buy and a long-term build. Starting at the bottom with the least efficient spenders over the last decade. Number 20, West Ham United at 0.58. The least efficient, statistically, their spending has an inverse relationship with success. At number 19 is Chelsea with a 0.57 correlation coefficient. Nearly identical to the Hammers, a decade of £1 billion windows that often led to lower finishes. And number 18 is Tottenham with 0.43, and 17 is Liverpool, also at 0.43. These two are tied. It's the ultimate maintenance tax. They spend huge sums of money to stay in the same place. However, note the 1-year lag. Spurs have a massive 0.7 positive lag, suggesting their spending spikes often precede a drop, while Liverpool has a negative 0.57 lag, meaning their investments eventually pay off. In 16 is Manchester United with 0.29. This is dead money, spending that almost has no predictable impact on their final position. At 15 is Burnley with 0.28, a positive correlation that shows how difficult it is for promoted sides to spend their way to safety. Manchester City sit at number 14 with 0.19. Even with my dominant scale, the champions remain positive because they are at the ceiling. As we cross the 0 line into the efficient spenders, number 13 with 0.09 negative is Arsenal, the first Big Six club to show their spending actually results in a statistical climb. And number 12 is Crystal Palace with negative 0.27. Their real-time score is modest, but their 1-year lag of negative 0.74 is elite. They buy for the future, and their signings often take a year to really take off. At number 11 we have Newcastle at negative 0.44, and at number 10 with negative 0.53 is Everton, both solid, predictable climbers. Brighton sit at number 9 at negative 0.58, the gold standard for mid-table efficiency. Number 8 is Leeds with negative 0.64, 7 is Wolves with negative 0.65, number 6 is Bournemouth, negative 0.66. These three represent the efficient core. When they spend, they move up. Now we enter the gold standard of English football. In an era where billionaire owners often treat clubs like expensive hobbies, these 5 organisations have turned the transfer market into a high-precision instrument. They have a direct, measurable link between opening the checkbook and the movement on the league table. Number 5, Fulham. a negative 0.7. As we saw in our previous efficiency breakdown video, Fulham are the absolute kings of targeted spending. A correlation coefficient of negative 0.7 here is elite. It tells us that their recruitment isn't just about plugging holes in a squad, it's about moving the needle. They don't just buy players, they buy specific upgrades that translate directly into points. Their strategy is a masterclass in mid-table management, proving that you can consistently outpunch your weight if you treat every million as a strategic investment rather than a panic fix. Number 4, Aston Villa, with a correlation coefficient of negative 0.72. This is where the data reveals a fascinating story. Villa's massive 0.72 negative correlation proves that their recent ascent into European football in the Champions League places was no happy accident. It was a cold, calculated financial climb. While other clubs spend to survive, Villa spend to disrupt. Every major investment in the squad over the last decade has a statistically visible impact on their upward trajectory. They are the blueprint for how a sleeping giant can use capital to successfully break the Big Six monopoly. Number 3, Nottingham Forest, negative 0.77. Forest is a remarkable case study in survival through spending. While they're often criticised for their sheer volume of their transfers, the negative 0.77 correlation shows that for Forest, every pound spent has been the literal fuel for their survival and subsequent growth in the top flight. Without that aggressive financial backing, the data suggests they simply wouldn't be here. They have effectively used their budget as a shield against relegation and as swords to climb the rankings. Number 2, Sunderland, with negative 0.79. This might be the most surprising entry for some, but the numbers don't lie. Despite their high-profile ups and downs over the last decade, Sunderland's 10-year data shows an incredible negative 0.79 correlation, and it reveals a club where the results follow the money almost perfectly. When the investment is there, the club climbs immediately. When the taps are turned off, the drop is almost as sharp. It is perhaps the most honest relationship between finance and football in the entire dataset. And number 1, Brentford, with a negative 0.83, the undisputed statistical champions of the spreadsheet. Brentford is the only club in the English Premier League where recruitment has been elevated to a near perfect science. With a correlation coefficient of negative 0.83, they have essentially solved the mystery of the transfer market. They don't gamble, they calculate. But the real kicker is that a 1-year lag of 0.66 negative, it proves that their success isn't just a flash in the pan or a lucky season, it's sustained, data-led dynasty. They are proof that in the modern game, the smartest person in the room will eventually beat the person with the loudest wallet. So what have we learned from this? If you're at the bottom of the league, money is your best friend. It can buy you a 10-place jump. But if you're at the top, money is just a maintenance fee to keep you from falling. The real losers, clubs like Chelsea and Manchester United, who spend like champions but have the correlation scores of a club in crisis. They are paying for the view, whilst teams like Brentford and Fulham are buying the house. What do you think? Was your team where you expected it to be? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more data-led football videos.